Lauren, I'm so excited.
Why, Cecil?
It's fall break, no more classes for the week. I get to sleep in.
What are you talking about? It's homecoming week, USC football.
You're right, I forgot. And that's why
Sports Scene starts now.
Welcome to another episode of Sports Scene. I'm Cecil Hannibal.
And I'm Lauren LaBruna.
USC football is hoping for a comeback after losing to Notre Dame last weekend.
This is quite literally a homecoming game for the Trojans, who haven't played at home for the past 4 weeks. On Saturday, they will face the University of Arizona.
That's right, and Arizona is ranked number 9 in the nation in total offense. USC has won the past 6 matchups against Arizona. Coach Helton talked about going against this potent offense.
I can see the defense has got a chip on the shoulder, ready to prove something. They're going against one of the top 10 offenses in the country that is extremely dangerous, both in between the tackles with the run game, but even more importantly, even out on the perimeter. Their RPO game, I think, is elite.
The Trojans have suffered the loss of redshirt junior tailback Vavae Malepeai, who underwent knee surgery yesterday. Marquise Stepp and Stephen Carr will be battling in his place.
And now it's time for the Football Roundtable. I'm joined with Cambry Guest and Daniel Nguyen. You guys ready to talk about USC football?
Absolutely. Ready. Thanks for having us, Cecil.
Thanks for being here. My first question. Last week's game against Notre Dame, what is the good and bad for USC?
The Trojans' offense for me really stuck out. They did really well. Keaton had 2 touchdowns, and Amon-Ra had 112 yards receiving. The only bad I see is that they basically met a better team. Other than that, the Trojans did better than I expected.
You know, I agree with Daniel on this one. I don't think the showing was anything that people weren't expecting. I think one positive for the Trojans is that Keaton really finally got to come into his own. I mean, he had the best passer rating that USC's seen from a quarterback on an away game since the Pac-12 championship in 2017. So really, it was finally a chance after injury kept knocking out these SEC quarterbacks. Finally, the team got to see what can this offense look like moving forward, and I think it's putting him in a good position for the rest of the season.
I think so too, especially if USC can play like they did in the second half, and they came so close to a victory against Notre Dame. There's no telling what it will be in the future.
So you guys all agree on this one, but what about Vavae's injury? What's the offense looking like moving forward?
I think the Trojans' running game is going to be fine. Marquise Stepp had 82 yards against Notre Dame. Stephen Carr had 90-something yards against Washington. I think it shows that both are effective backs. I think the Trojans are just fine.
I think Carr and Stepp have the potential, but really they're going to have to show out. I mean, Vavae had twice the number of carries of both those running backs before going into this Notre Dame game. So I don't know what the rushing yards are going to look like against Arizona, but they've got some work to do and some serious effort to put in the backfield.
I think there's talent there with Marquise and Stephen Carr, especially with Marquise coming in for one of the last touchdowns of the Notre Dame game. You know, the talent's there, and I think they're going to be ultimately the people that save USC.
Now, my last question. You guys get ready. I need the hot takes right now.
All right,
okay?
hot takes.
Will USC make the Pac-12 championship?
No.
Oh.
Sorry. You asked for hot takes. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I think Utah's proven to be too strong in Pac-12 South. I think we're going to see a Utah-Oregon matchup. If the Trojans would have pulled out a win against Notre Dame, but then maybe the trajectory, but they needed to tear it up through the second half of the season, and they just don't have the energy to pull through now, I don't think so.
I completely agree with Cambry. She's right. I think the Utes, since playing the Trojans at the Coliseum, have rebounded pretty well. I think their defense and their coaching is enough to take them to the championship round.
I'm going to stay positive. I think if USC plays like they did in the second half, there is still a chance.
All right, well, that's all we have for the Football Roundtable. Now on to Jill for another edition of Ask an Athlete.
I'm Jillian Carroll for Annenberg Media, and I'm here with Stephen Carr today, and we are going to do another segment of Ask an Athlete. So I'm going to ask you as many questions as I can in 60 seconds, and you just give me the first answer that comes to mind.
I got you.
Does that sound good?
Perfect.
All right. Here we go. If you could play any sport besides football, what would it be?
Baseball.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Who is your funniest teammate?
Hunter Echols, for sure. Hunter Echols, hands down.
What's your most used emoji?
Probably this one.
That's a good one. I like that one too. What's your favorite dance move?
This one. Why you make it so complicated? Y'all know what it is, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I love it. All right, who is your role model?
My role model, I'll say my dad.
It's a good one. What is the best moment in football so far this season?
The best moment in football so far, that's tough. It's a lot of great moments that we had, but shoot, the wins, I would just say the wins overall. The wins, the team wins, yeah.
I agree. That's some good momentum. What's one food you can't live without?
Pasta.
Pasta. What's your spirit animal?
I don't know. A lion, I think.
A lion?
Yeah, a lion.
That's a good one. Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Back to you guys in the studio.
Basketball is back at USC. At least a little preview of it is, as USC hosts Villanova for an exhibition game. This game couldn't come at a better time, as proceeds will go to the California Fire Foundation. The Trojans look to continue their upward trend with 87 wins over the last 4 seasons. The Trojans have added 9 new players to their strong returning core. This group will be led by redshirt senior Quentin Adlish and senior Jonah Matthews. Okay, so what can we expect out of this year's SC team? This year's recruiting class was ranked 8th by ESPN. I'm excited to see Onyeka Okongwu and Isaiah Mobley. Okongwu is an extremely skilled defensive player, but it's his shooting I want to see develop, and hopefully by the time regular season rolls around, he'll be a highly utilized forward. Both Okongwu and Mobley were extremely decorated players in high school, and I think SC hit the jackpot with these two. Both guys played in top 10 California high school basketball programs, decorated to say the least, and both bringing exceptional talent to a well-established older group of guys. Friday night might just be an exhibition game, but it's for a great cause, especially here in Southern California. Plus, it's Villanova, who finished 23rd in the AP poll last season and was knocked out in the second round to Purdue. Preseason officially begins November 5th, so be ready for a lot more coverage here at Sports Scene ahead of that. We know head coach Andy Enfield has a good feeling about these Trojans making a run into the playoffs, and that is very evident in their chemistry on the court. Annalisa, over to you.
Thanks, Tyler. Both the men's and women's tennis teams were in action this past week. Here to talk about it is our tennis expert, Nick Kaufman. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back talking about tennis.
Perfect. So the women's team hosted the Women of Troy Invitational this past weekend. What happened?
So the Women of Troy hosted this sort of invitational as a preseason tournament to get ready for the regular season. Iowa State, LMU, and New Mexico came and played, and the Women of Troy went an impressive 11-1 overall in singles and 5-1 in doubles, with 4 players sweeping the weekend, with Salma Ewing and Peyton Saka both getting wins as well in singles. So it was really just a very impressive showing from the Trojans this weekend.
So what does this mean for the Women of Troy?
I think it means they're going to start the season very strongly. You're seeing right now they're playing at an exceptionally high level. They shocked the Pac-12 finishing 4th last year, and I think we could see them actually finishing even higher this year.
All right. So on the men's side, the Trojans sent 5 players to Tulsa for the ITA All-American Tournament. How did the Trojans do in Oklahoma?
They sent, like you said, they sent 5 players there, with every player winning at least 1 match, and Bradley Fry and Riley Smith qualifying for the main draw in singles. Fry lost in the first round, and Smith made it to the second round, with both of them losing to seeded players, so that's understandable losses for both of them. But the two of them actually teamed up and got into the doubles draw as lucky losers, where they went on an impressive run with wins over Cal and Virginia Tech before falling to Duke in 3 sets in the quarterfinals. So overall, it was a very strong weekend for the men's team as well.
Great. All right. So your final hot take, how do you think the men will do this season?
National championship. I'm going to be saying it all season long until they prove me otherwise. Everyone's been saying this is one of the strongest teams USC men's tennis has fielded in a while and will field in a while. So I think now is the time to strike and win, and they have the talent on this roster to take home a national championship.
All right, well, thanks, Nick. That's all we have for tennis this week. Earlier today, our own Cecil Hannibal sat down with USC water polo keeper Nic Porter ahead of the Trojans match against Pepperdine. Take a look.
And so right now, you're back in the season, back in the swing of things. Yep. The team is 9-3. Do you feel like you have momentum coming off that championship win, or what's going on?
Yeah, look, it's been an interesting season so far. We've lost some games that we were pretty disappointed to lose. But there's still a great belief in the team. We're really excited for we have some really, really important matches coming up in the next couple of weeks that we're really looking forward to. We've got Stanford at home, which is going to be a massive game, obviously the replay of the final from last year. So, yeah, I think we just need to be focused on that and use our defending national championship tag to our advantage as much as we can.
And Stanford's #1 in the conference right now, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
You have like a calendar that has like you have Stanford marked, like beat Stanford.
Yeah, no, we have Stanford circled, and we know they're going to be fired up because they're going to want to take some revenge for the loss we gave them in the final. So they're going to be fired up to play us, but we're in our home pool with our crowd, and yeah, we're gonna show them what USC is all about.
You're from Queensland, Australia.
Yes,
right?
I am. Yeah.
Which is so cool. Can I just say that?
Yeah, thank
Always
you.
want to go to Australia. Was it a culture shock coming to Los Angeles?
A little bit. I think the biggest shock I had was sort of moving out of home for the first time. I'd never moved out of home before, and coming somewhere completely different where I only knew a couple of people, but I was made to feel so welcome by my teammates and my coaches and just the school in general, and I'm so lucky to be here. I love it here.
So what's your favorite part about being in the States? Like, is there a favorite food, a favorite moment? Like, have you been to Disneyland? Like, what's up, man?
I've been to Disneyland. I loved it. It was good fun. My favorite part is, honestly, I went to a LA Lakers game last year, and the season's about to start, so I'm hoping to come to a few more because it's just down the road at Staples. So yeah, that was my favorite moment. I got to see Lakers Raptors, which was a good game.
So are you a LeBron fan?
No, I mean, this is a tough one. Like, I like the Lakers, but I've kind of always followed the Pacers. I'm not sure why.
A Pacers fan?
Yeah, Paul George was my favorite player when I started following it. So
you a Clippers fan now? Did you switch sides?
No, I'm sticking with the Pacers. I'm a loyal man, so I'll stay with the Pacers.
Of all teams, the Indiana Pacers.
I know.
That's
strange
loyalty.
pick.
That's loyalty.
Thank you.
And so your next match is against Pepperdine. What can we expect?
Look, Pepperdine's surprised a lot of teams this year. They've picked up some really good wins. They've had some very narrow losses against really good teams. So we're not taking anybody lightly. We're going into their pool. They'll have a big crowd. They'll have a lot of energy. And they're going to be a really tough team to play against. But at the same time, we're really excited because we're coming off a loss. We're motivated. We're keen to prove why we're the national champions from last year and why we're pushing for the national championship this year. So, we can expect a close game, a physical game, but a very exciting one too.
You guys heard it here first. Nick, thank you for joining us here at Sports Scene. If you want to catch the men's water polo team this Saturday against Pepperdine. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Cecil, so it's homecoming week. What are you most excited for?
You know, I'm a senior, so it's my last homecoming, so I just want to soak it all in, really.
All right, so that's just guessing that you're going to pass all your midterms and graduate.
Hey, don't put my business out to the people. Don't tell them my business, Lauren.
My bad, my
now,
bad.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you had to take one football player to homecoming, which one would you take?
Oh, man. I don't know about a player, but I would take Graham Harrell.
Really?
He looks good, and he brings good things to the USC football program.
You know what? I'll grab Clay. We can all get burgers. We go in and out.
Oh, that's an amazing plan.
Clay's my guy.
Clay's a great guy to pick.
One-on-one
We're
time,
going to have a good time.
Double date?
Double date. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks so much for joining us today for another episode of Sports Scene. I'm Lauren LaBruna.
And I'm Cecil Hannibal. Make sure to check us out on the web at uscannonburgmedia.com and follow us on social media at @andmediasports. We'll see you next time.